Have you ever found yourself in a situation where understanding someone's unspoken thoughts or feelings could make all the difference? Whether in business negotiations, social settings, or even personal relationships, the ability to read people without making it obvious can feel like a superpower. But the truth is, it's not magic. It's a skill rooted in observation, psychology, and the subtle art of understanding human behavior. To start, let's redefine what it means to read someone. It's not about being psychic or memorizing body language cues from a textbook. Instead, it's about cultivating a heightened sense of awareness and being present in your interactions. People constantly give off cues about their emotions, intentions, and even thoughts. These cues are not always overt or dramatic, but if you train yourself to notice them, a world of information opens up. Before diving into techniques, let's address a key point: empathy. Empathy is your foundation. It's not enough to see someone fidgeting or glancing away. You must learn to interpret these actions within context. Empathy allows you to piece together someone's actions, words, and energy without imposing your biases. It also prevents you from jumping to conclusions prematurely. Developing genuine empathy might take practice, but it's a vital prerequisite for reading people effectively. Now, consider the importance of context. Human behavior is not static. It is fluid and shaped by circumstances. For instance, a person tapping their foot in a waiting room may simply be impatient, but if they're doing the same during a crucial meeting, the meaning changes. Without context, you're working with incomplete data. So, your first task is always to assess the environment. Ask yourself, what's happening here? What's at stake? What are the possible reasons for their behavior? Context sharpens your perception. Once you've tuned into context, shift your focus to microexpressions. These fleeting facial movements can reveal a person's genuine feelings before they have a chance to mask them. For example, a quick furrow of the brow might indicate confusion or frustration, even if the person is smiling outwardly. Spotting these microexpressions requires a sharp eye and a calm mind. People tend to miss them because they're often too focused on crafting their own responses. Slow down. Watch. Let them reveal their emotions. Equally important is body language, but here's the catch. Don't rely on one gesture alone. A single action, like crossed arms, could mean the person is closed off or they could simply be cold. Look for clusters of behavior. For instance, if someone has crossed arms, leans away from you, and avoids eye contact, it's more likely they're feeling defensive or uninterested. When reading body language, focus on patterns rather than isolated gestures. Speech patterns are another goldmine. Pay attention not just to what people say, but how they say it. Changes in tone, pace, or pitch can reveal their emotional state. If someone speeds up their speech, they might be nervous or excited. A slower pace could indicate thoughtfulness or hesitation. The words themselves are important, but vocal delivery often tells you what's beneath the surface. One subtle yet powerful tool in reading people is mirroring. Humans naturally mirror each other's body language when they feel connected or in agreement. If someone mirrors your movements, crossing their legs when you do or leaning in when you do, it's often a sign they're engaged and aligned with you. On the other hand, if they stop mirroring or create distance, it could mean they're feeling disconnected or disagreeing. Observe these shifts carefully. Of course, not every sign or cue will be immediately meaningful. This is where patience comes in. People reveal themselves over time. Avoid rushing to conclusions based on a single moment. Instead, build a mental timeline of their behaviors, expressions, and interactions. Patterns emerge more clearly when you have more data. Reading people is as much about patience as it is about observation. Lastly, let's talk about energy. While it might sound intangible, energy often speaks louder than words or gestures. Is the person's energy calm and open, or is it tense and guarded? Do they seem comfortable or restless in their surroundings? Paying attention to the overall energy someone projects can give you clues that go beyond words or body language. To summarize this first phase, begin with empathy and context. Hone your ability to spot microexpressions and interpret body language clusters. Notice vocal changes and the subtleties of mirroring. Above all, take your time. Reading people is not about getting it right in an instant. It's about tuning into their rhythm and peeling back the layers at their pace. Take a moment to digest this. In the next chapter, we'll delve deeper into practical techniques, including conversational strategies and advanced observational methods that will elevate your ability to read people without them realizing it. Let me know your thoughts before we proceed. Building upon the foundational principles from the first chapter, let's move deeper into the subtleties of reading people. While observation is key, interaction offers a wealth of additional insight. When you engage with someone, their responses, both verbal and nonverbal, can provide critical clues about their state of mind. To harness these moments effectively, we'll explore conversational strategies and advanced observational methods that can help you uncover hidden truths without tipping them off. The first technique to master is active listening. Most people only listen with the intent to respond, not to understand. To truly read someone, you must go beyond hearing their words and focus on their choice of language, emotional undertones, and even what they leave unsaid. Listen for recurring themes or phrases. These often hint at what's occupying their thoughts. For example, if someone repeatedly mentions stress at work, even in unrelated topics, it may signal deeper concerns or unresolved tension. Pausing intentionally during conversations can also be revealing. When you give someone the space to fill silences, they often divulge more than they initially intended. The discomfort of silence can prompt people to clarify, elaborate, or even reveal their true feelings. Use this strategically. After posing a question, resist the urge to fill the gap. Let them break the silence. Their next words are often the most genuine. Another valuable tactic is reflective questioning. This involves paraphrasing or reflecting back what someone has said, encouraging them to expand. For instance, if they say, "I've been feeling overwhelmed lately," you might respond, "It sounds like you've had a lot on your plate. What's been the most challenging part?" This approach not only demonstrates empathy but also invites them to provide more detail. As they elaborate, their tone, choice of words, and body language can reveal underlying emotions. When observing people, pay attention to their baseline behavior. Everyone has a natural way of speaking, moving, and reacting. To accurately read someone, you need to establish what their normal looks like. This allows you to detect deviations, which often signal a change in emotional state. For instance, if someone who's typically animated becomes unusually quiet, it's a red flag that something is amiss. Conversely, a normally reserved person who suddenly becomes talkative might be experiencing excitement or anxiety. Subtle shifts in body language during interactions can also provide insight. Watch for gestures like self-soothing movements, touching their face, rubbing their hands, or playing with an object. These are often unconscious signs of nervousness or stress. Similarly, changes in posture can indicate shifts in comfort level. Someone leaning in might be engaged, while leaning away could signal discomfort or disinterest. The key is to notice these transitions in real time and connect them to the ongoing conversation. Eye movements are another powerful indicator of thought processes. While it's important not to overinterpret, certain patterns can be telling. For example, looking up and to the right is often associated with visual recall, while looking up and to the left may indicate imagination or fabrication. Downward glances can signify introspection or discomfort. Be cautious with these cues, however, as they're not universally applicable. Cultural differences and individual quirks can influence eye behavior. Tone of voice is just as important as the words themselves. Pay attention to fluctuations in pitch, volume, and pace. A sudden rise in pitch might suggest nervousness or excitement, while a lower tone could indicate seriousness or sadness. Similarly, speeding up or slowing down speech can reflect their emotional state. By matching these tonal shifts with the context of the conversation, you can gain deeper insight into what's really going on. Now, let's explore a more advanced strategy: strategic vulnerability. This involves subtly revealing something about yourself to encourage the other person to open up. For example, sharing a minor frustration or concern can create a sense of mutual understanding, making the other person feel safer to disclose their thoughts. Be careful, though, this technique should be used sparingly and authentically. If it feels manipulative, it can backfire. Nonverbal mirroring, introduced earlier, can also be used during interactions to build rapport and gain trust. However, here's a more advanced twist: reverse mirroring. Instead of matching their body language, adopt a calm and open posture to subtly influence their state. For example, if someone appears tense or closed off, your relaxed demeanor can encourage them to mirror you, gradually putting them at ease. Finally, practice reading group dynamics. When multiple people are involved, the interplay between them can offer valuable insights. Notice who dominates the conversation, who remains quiet, and who aligns their body language with whom. These dynamics often reveal underlying power structures, alliances, and tensions. For example, if two people consistently exchange glances during a discussion, they may share an unspoken agreement or perspective. The key to mastering these techniques lies in practice and patience. Start small. Apply these strategies in everyday interactions, from casual conversations to professional meetings. Over time, your ability to read people will become second nature, allowing you to navigate complex social situations with confidence and ease. As we move into the final chapter, it's time to refine your skills and address the nuances of reading people when signals are unclear or situations are high stakes. Mixed messages, intentional deception, and emotionally charged scenarios require a more nuanced approach. In this chapter, we'll explore how to decode these complexities and develop an intuitive edge that allows you to navigate even the most challenging interactions. Let's begin with mixed signals. These occur when someone's verbal and nonverbal cues don't align. For instance, they may say they're fine while their body language suggests otherwise. When faced with such contradictions, prioritize the nonverbal over the verbal. Research has shown that nonverbal communication carries more weight in conveying emotions. If someone's words and gestures are at odds, their gestures are often more truthful. To decipher mixed signals, focus on clusters of behavior. A single contradictory gesture might not mean much, but a pattern usually reveals the truth. For example, if someone says they're happy while avoiding eye contact, crossing their arms, and speaking in a flat tone, it's likely they're not as content as they claim. By piecing together these cues, you can form a more accurate picture of their true feelings. High-stakes situations, such as negotiations or conflicts, amplify the importance of reading people accurately. In these moments, emotions often run high, and people may attempt to mask their true intentions. To navigate such scenarios, start by controlling your own emotions. High-pressure situations can cloud your judgment, making it harder to interpret others accurately. Practice mindfulness techniques, such as deep breathing or grounding exercises, to maintain clarity and focus. In negotiations, pay close attention to microreactions. These are subtle, involuntary responses that can reveal a person's genuine thoughts before they regain control. For instance, a quick smile or raised eyebrows might indicate agreement or interest, even if they're trying to appear neutral. Use these microreactions to gauge their true stance and adjust your approach accordingly. In conflict situations, the ability to de-escalate is critical. When emotions are heightened, people often become defensive or reactive, making their cues harder to read. To diffuse tension, adopt a calm and empathetic tone. Validate their feelings without necessarily agreeing with them. Statements like, "I can see this is important to you," can help lower their defenses and create a space for more genuine communication. Dealing with intentional deception presents a unique challenge. While it's tempting to rely on popular myths like, "Liars avoid eye contact," such cues are not universally reliable. Instead, focus on inconsistencies in their narrative. If someone is lying, their story may contain contradictions or lack the natural details that come with truthfulness. Subtle shifts in their behavior, such as hesitating before answering or overcompensating with excessive detail, can also be telling. Calibrating your observations to cultural and individual differences is another essential skill. For example, avoiding eye contact might indicate dishonesty in some cultures but respect or shyness in others. Similarly, someone's personal habits or quirks can influence their behavior. Always consider the broader context before drawing conclusions. Developing an intuitive edge requires moving beyond conscious observation to a deeper, instinctual understanding of people. Intuition is not some mystical ability. It's the result of your brain processing patterns and cues on a subconscious level. To sharpen your intuition, immerse yourself in diverse social situations. The more people you observe and interact with, the better your mind becomes at recognizing patterns and forming accurate gut feelings. Practicing mindfulness can also enhance your intuitive abilities. By staying present and attuned to your surroundings, you create the mental space needed to pick up on subtle cues. Regularly reflect on your interactions, analyzing what you observed and how it matched the outcomes. This habit strengthens the link between your conscious and subconscious mind, making your intuition more reliable. Finally, remember that reading people is a dynamic, ongoing process. People are complex and ever-changing, influenced by countless internal and external factors. Stay curious, adaptable, and empathetic. The goal is not to predict someone's every move, but to understand them well enough to navigate interactions effectively. By combining the foundational principles from Chapter 1, the tactical strategies from Chapter 2, and the advanced techniques in this chapter, you now have a comprehensive toolkit for reading people without them realizing it. Like any skill, it requires practice, patience, and a commitment to continual learning. But once mastered, it will become one of your most valuable assets, empowering you to connect, communicate, and thrive in any social setting. And with that, your journey into the subtle art of understanding people concludes, at least for now. The next step is yours to take.